I'm going to show you how to quickly write some CSVY data in R. So we're going to start by loading up the Gapminder library, which of course will be our example. And I'm also going to load dplyr and reader, two packages for reading and modifying data. You could also load the entire tidyverse if you wanted. I'm also going to use CSVY, which is a package you can install from GitHub or I believe from CRAN. And this was made by Thomas Leeper, and it's going to help us read and interpret a CSVY file. So the simplest thing to do is to start with, you've got a data frame. Gapminder, I'm just going to look at the head of Gapminder. Voila, that's the top, the old familiar 6 columns of the Gapminder dataset. And I'm going to take Gapminder, I'm going to actually write it to a file. So I'm going to use reader's write CSV to write Gapminder to a file. I'm going to call this, make a file for this. I'm going to call it data. I'm going to call this thing data Gapminder metadata dot CSV. I'm going to add the Y to it right now. You can write up any file name you want. So I'm going to write out a CSVY. All right, what have I got here? Click in this file to open it. Sure enough, it is simply a text file with fields separated by commas, just like I expect from any regular CSV. I also see up here in my Git tab that I've got the new folder added with a new file inside of it. I'm going to check this box, and I'm going to commit it right now to version control. There we go. Staging it, and I'm going to commit it. Right up the Gapminder data. All right, so far so good. I'm going to close this. And so what we want to do is turn this CSV into a CSVY by adding that YAML column block. So I'm just going to pop back to my web browser and show you here at csvy.org. Show you what that looks like again. So we want to add a YAML header that looks like this. So I'm going to begin by copying and pasting this directly on top of my Gapminder dataset. So this, I'm actually doing this by hand. And we'll talk about that in just a second, why the pros and cons of doing that. So now that I've got this here, I'm just going to start editing it right here in RStudio to add my metadata to it. So I'm going to add a dataset name to it, and I'm going to start doing the fields. Now this gets a little bit repetitive, but I'm just going to literally type in information about each field. I'm going to add country. The title is name of country. The type is a string, or we can actually change this in R, or furthermore, a different element in this list. For R's sake, we can call this class character, and we'll see the usefulness of this at the end of this video. But for now, I'm just going to leave it that way. Countries of the world. This constraints column is whether or not this field is a required value for the data. That's not relevant here, so we're going to delete it. We're going to work just with these 5 broad categories: name, title, type or class, and description. So name, title, class, or type, and description. So I'm going to leave name here. The next one, continent. Name of continent. Type is going to be character. I'm going to call this class. The next one is, oh, and I missed the description. Years or numbers. Remember, this little dash goes right before each name thing. So I'm going to add here year, life expectancy, name, there we go, name, colon, life expectancy. This is a nice example of why we do this. We can add a full-length name that is spelled everything spelled out perfectly. You could even add translations in other languages if you wanted. Its class is numeric, and its description I assume that across, for example, men and women. You might have here, for example, something about the provenance, if you knew that the population was from a certain survey or a certain survey methodology or something like that. GDP per cap name, GDP per cap. Description. There. So now we have a valid YAML that is held inside of these 3 dashes on top of a CSV, and everything is great. Now I want to show you why I committed the file before making these modifications. I can look over here when I make my next commit. It's going to be changed. So I'm going to now save this, or rather commit this. It's already been saved. I'm going to add this by clicking the box, and I'm going to make a commit, and it's going to say something like added to Gapminder, and I commit. Now this is helping me get around the irreducibility of this. What I've done is not super reproducible.